Before we get started, we have to break down what a proffer agreement is. A proffer agreement is an agreement that you enter into with law enforcement where essentially is a contract where you give information in exchange for we can use the information you gave us at this particular moment against you. But I'm just a blogger who's a little illiterate. So let me just have a seasoned detective break down what a proffer agreement is to you guys.
Can you tell me the differences in a proffer agreement, immunity, and queen for a day?
A proffer agreement is not immunity. People get this confused. There's no immunity in a proffer agreement. All a proffer agreement is that information that you provide that is self-incriminating cannot be used against you. It's like, you know, it's a constitutional right against self-incrimination. So we offer this certain times, during law enforcement investigations. We'll say, listen, if you'll sit down and answer our questions and be honest about responding to our questions, we won't use your information against you. We'll use your information to prosecute other people. And if other people provide information that we can use against you, we most certainly will. We just won't use your own self-incriminating statements and get you. That's a proffer agreement. Immunity is different. Immunity means you can't prosecute them. A proffer session means we can't use your statements, but we can still prosecute you if we get other information.
A proffer agreement isn't a get out of jail free card. As a matter of fact, I can argue a proffer agreement is a get into jail card. Honestly, think about it. What do you think is going to happen if you walk into a police department, give a confession regarding your role in a murder? You think you leave that police department because you gave a proffer and they can't use those confessions you gave to them against you? That the police is just gonna let you get away scotch-free, away with murder? Or do you think that your confession makes them more motivated to get you because they know now you're 100% guilty? A proffer don't protect your words. It only protects the statements you gave to the police in that moment. So if you leave that confession or that interrogation and go elsewhere and give a statement to somebody else admitting to your involvement in a particular crime, the police can use the statements you gave to somebody else against you and still indict you and prosecute you. And that's the fate that Keefe D is currently suffering.
Now at 10:30, after nearly 30 years, new developments tonight in the unsolved murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. A new twist tonight in the decades-old murder mystery. Las Vegas police serving a search warrant this week in connection with the rap star's shooting death.
Keefe D is the uncle to Orlando Anderson, aka Baby Lane. Now, Las Vegas police believe that Orlando Anderson shot and killed Tupac after he was violently assaulted by Tupac and Suge Knight.
Just 3 days after the awards, Tupac and others attack an LA gang member in a hotel lobby after a Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas. Believed to be in response to an earlier assault against someone affiliated with Death Row, the attack will land Death Row head Suge Knight in jail, and according to some police reports, lead to Tupac being shot less than 3 hours later.
They believe Tupac was shot and killed by Orlando Anderson, but didn't have enough. And with Orlando Anderson being shot and killed himself months after Tupac was shot and killed, they was at a dead end. And they stayed at that dead end up until about 12 years later in 2009. Y'all remember our little friend who broke down what a proffer agreement was earlier in his video? Well, that's Detective Greg Caden. Detective Greg Caden is a retired Los Angeles police officer. And in 2009, Keefe D was arrested on some very serious drug charges. While Keefe D was in police custody for his serious drug offense that could land him in jail from anywhere between 25 years to life, Detective Greg Caden was responsible for negotiating an agreement between Keefe D and the prosecution, where Keefe D would give a proffer agreement in relation to Tupac's murder. In exchange, he wouldn't be sent to jail on those drug charges.
Well, in Keefe D's situation, he had a lot to gain because he was looking at trying to mitigate these drug charges that we'd built against him. So him and his attorney and the U.S. attorney all agreed to do this proffer agreement.
We went to eat. We was eating. Man, they came and said, "He just beat up Lane." We was in a hotel. Yeah, the MGM at the restaurant. There was a few New Yorkers though who was with us. Like, man, y'all need some help? We got this.
That's what they said?
You guys aren't out in Vegas then with that intention. That's not why you're in Vegas.
We've been going to the fight since pact days, you know, the 80s.
So y'all geared up to go to Vegas, and y'all was going anyway, not even knowing who else was going to be down there. Not knowing if Pac and shit was going to be down there.
We didn't have no pistol. We didn't have no pistols down there.
During the proffer agreement, Keefe D would confess and admit that while they were at a Las Vegas restaurant at the MGM eating, that somebody would come up to them and let them know that his nephew Orlando Anderson just got jumped by Tupac and Suge. But here's the interesting thing though. Keefe D was eating dinner with some New Yorkers, one of them being Zip, who already alerted Keefe D that Puff had put a bounty on Tupac's head. Keefe D would further incriminate Zip by telling Detective Greg Caden that Zip turned to him and said, bro, this is the opportunity for us to collect the money that Puff put on Tupac's head. Because Orlando Anderson was jumped at the MGM. They were already eating at the MGM.
Shit, it was right there. It's a perfect opportunity, baby.
That was Zip talking?
Yeah.
Because of what happened with
Yeah. Because he told me in the lobby that he had some Jimmys.
Some what?
He had a Jimmy in that Benz. He had a little secret compartment. Thing popped out. Popped up. Popped up, yeah.
In the armrest?
Yeah.
Keefe D would further elaborate and tell detectives that some New Yorkers, including Zip, even offered to come along with them to go look for Tupac.
He tells Zip, hey, we're gonna go handle this shit or whatever?
Yeah, they asked like, do y'all want us to come? We like, we know where them motherfuckers at. They was telling us that they gonna be at the 662 Club.
Who was saying that?
Everybody.
Everybody out there?
Yeah, everybody.
You get out of the car with Zip after everything. What do you say to him? Like, man, we're going to handle this? Like,
yeah, we're going to go ahead. He's like, yeah, show the perfect time, you know.
Okay, then you jump out of the car, and then what happens?
I got in the van with the busters. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so Lane and Cadillac with T Brown and Dre?
Yeah.
Y'all go with the van. It's 2 cars go to 662.
Yeah, the van and the Cadillac.
That's important. Detectives is listening like, whoa, whoa. We wasn't expecting for you to say you was there too? You was in the vehicle that went to go murder Tupac? They brought him in to get information about Tupac's murder. Now he's entering in some dicey territory, incriminating himself further. But again, they can't use nothing he says here against him, so he can speak as freely as he wanted to. Greg Caden and the other officer present will reassure Keefe D of this consistently and constantly, letting him know we can't prosecute you for nothing you say right now, so speak as freely as you want. So Keefe D spoke as freely as he want and gave a lot of information. Keefe D would further tell them that they went to a 662 club to look for Tupac, but he wasn't there. And he also gave an exact detail and description of who was in a murder vehicle with him and where everybody was seated.
They didn't show up. We waited about 15, 20 minutes. They didn't show up. So it's like, let's go get some liquor. And Corey, they gotta kill him, dog. You know that motherfucker. You know, got the police killing motherfuckers and all that. Man, you crazy. Stopped at the liquor store. I got out the van with their ass and jumped in the Cadillac. Them motherfuckers busted. They scared.
So Orlando Anderson and some other dudes were in a Cadillac. Keefe D was in a van with the OGs, right? The Cadillac and the van was moving together. So apparently, like in the van where the OGs was with Keefe D, like the OGs were acting scared and they didn't want to spin the block and put in work. So Keefe D hopped out of the van where the OGs were reluctant and scared and hopped in the Cadillac with Orlando Anderson and a bunch of other dudes.
The Cadillac is being driven by Terrence Brown. In the front passenger seat is Keefe D. Behind the driver is DeAndre Smith. And in the right rear passenger seat is Keefe's nephew, Orlando Anderson.
So now Keefe D is in the Cadillac. They're now leaving the club they thought that Tupac was at, but Tupac wasn't there. So now Keefe D is in the Cadillac with Orlando Anderson and those 2 dudes. So while they're leaving the club, by coincidence, they found Pac.
Then we came up Harmon, got the Las Vegas Boulevard, and shit. Here they coming at BMW, a gang of cars.
Keefe D would explain when they were leaving the club after not being able to locate Tupac, they were leaving. But while they were leaving, they seen a BMW, but they didn't really know who was in the BMW or even notice it at all. So they was just leaving. Then while they were driving past the BMW, they heard a bunch of women screaming, "Tupac, Tupac, Tupac," and Pac then hanged out the window and was, talking to them and inviting them, say, "Yo, come to the club with me, come to the club with me." So when Keefe D and them heard this, they just turned, they seen Tupac out the window inviting the women to come to the club with him, so they bust a U-turn to go get up on Tupac.
And bros, Tupac, Tupac. We like, there they go. Made the U-turn. We wasn't supposed to make it. We just wanted the U-turn. They was in the middle lane. We just pulled up on the side, checked every car, see where they was.
So what directed your attention to him? Was some girl shouting at Tupac?
Tupac. He gave himself away. Otherwise, they would have got away.
Keefe D would explain that when they bust a U-turn and finally pulled up on Tupac and Suge, that he had every intention of shooting Tupac, but he couldn't shoot Tupac because they bust a U-turn. And when they bust a U-turn, where he was seated in the passenger seat, he no longer had the leverage or position to shoot Tupac, who was also in the passenger seat of the other vehicle, because there were people in between them. So what he did next, well, what he confessed to next, was just outright idiotic.
I thought he was going to pull on my side. That's my little nephew. I'm going to look out for him, And he pulled on their side.
So you were fitting to blast if you had to, or you were just...
Yeah, if we would have been on our side, I would have blasted.
Okay.
Here's a chart of where they were seated. So Keefe D passed the gun to Dre, who was next to Pac, but Dre said, "Nah."
I gave it to Dre, and Dre was like, "No." And Lane's like, "Give it to Pac, too."
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, rolled down the window, Pac.
So Orlando would have had to lean over the top of Dre, right?
Yeah. He did.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you?
Yeah.
He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looked at me.
Okay. Why are you looking right at me?
Fucking known each other since we were 7, 8 years old.
Keefe D essentially confessed to giving a murder weapon to Orlando Anderson, and Orlando Anderson shot and killed Tupac using the murder weapon that Keefe D gave him. Keefe D was talking as freely as he wanted to talk, because he was under the guise of, bro, I'm good. They can't do nothing to me. But remember what our good friend Greg Caden said? Yes, the same Greg Caden who was interviewing Keefe D during the proffer agreement. Remember what he told us in the beginning of this video regarding the proffer agreement?
We'll say, listen, if you'll sit down and answer our questions and be honest about responding to our questions, we won't use your information against you. We'll use your information to prosecute other people. And if other people provide information that we can use against you, we most certainly will.
The proffer agreement protects Keefe D from LAPD using his own words against him. And it also protects him from Las Vegas Police Department trying to contact LAPD, getting a proffer agreement, and using his words against him to indict him and prosecute him. But it doesn't protect him from other people incriminating Keefe D, from other witnesses incriminating Keefe D, and it certainly doesn't protect Keefe D from ultimately being prosecuted for giving that weapon to Orlando Anderson to shoot and kill Tupac. Here's a little detail I sort of left out intentionally, hoping y'all will figure it out up to this point. But Greg Caden is a Los Angeles police officer. Tupac murder happened in Las Vegas. While Keefe D was entering into a proffer agreement with LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, confessing and admitting to his role in Tupac's murder, Keefe D had no idea that Las Vegas Police Department was talking to eyewitnesses, other witnesses, and investigating him. Las Vegas Police Department was able to obtain a statement from an eyewitness who could testify that Orlando Anderson was bleeding from the head, and that also they overheard Zip, the New Yorker, tell Keefe D, "I got artillery in the car." He also heard Zip and Keefe D plotting Tupac's murder. Remember what the detective that interviewed Keefe D said. He said, "We can still use other people's information against you and prosecute you." So Las Vegas Police Department began to interview people that Keefe D said was there that night. They interviewed Dre. Dre gave information.
And DeAndre Smith confirmed that both he and Brown were in Vegas the night Tupac was shot.
They also interviewed the women that Keefe D said was right next to them when they pulled up and shot and killed Tupac. Those women gave statements and testimonies and testified as well.
Like, they're Suge. Like, and then he was like, "Come on, come go with me." come go with us. We going to 662.
All Keefe D proffer agreement did was put the police on the right track and have them put together a more ironclad investigation. But they had witness testimony. They had a lot of information and a lot of witnesses and statements, but they didn't feel like they had an ironclad investigation or an ironclad case against Keefe D. So they waited. They didn't prosecute. Keefe D gave his proffer agreement in 2009. And for a decade, they just, kept quiet. It went dormant for a while. But the Las Vegas Police Department got their biggest break possible. You see, Keefe D's proffer agreement prevented them from using anything that Keefe D said during that interview and during that proffer agreement. Anything Keefe D says outside that proffer agreement is not protected. So the Las Vegas Police Department couldn't thank their stars enough. They couldn't believe they couldn't believe that Keefe D had the braveness and the boldness to go on VladTV and confess that he was in the vehicle when Tupac was shot and killed.
Hanging out the window. He's hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
I can't play much more of that interview because Vlad loved to copyright strike people. But he didn't just stop at VladTV, though. He went on other platforms and spoke openly and candidly about his role in Tupac's murder.
After the fight, that was all our plans. So everybody was coming to the cafe and shit. I seen some of my partners from 11-8 East Coast Crips. They're like, hey, they just jumped on your nephew. Like, who? Said some death row niggas. Like, bullshit. They're like, yeah. And we ran into the lane inside the lobby.
So y'all ran into your nephew Orlando. What did he say to you?
Weird, he just said they jumped on him and stuff like that. And I asked him, was he all right? He said his shoulder's kind of fucked up. I guess from getting kicked in the shoulder or something, he said his shoulder was fucked up.
How mad was he?
I was more mad than him. Yeah. Why would you know what I'm saying, motherfucker, you know what's up. Know who people that is.
So what exactly did he tell you? Did he tell you like, yo, Tupac jumped on me, or?
He just said that the death row niggas jumped on him.
And the only injury he had was his shoulder?
Yeah, his shoulder was kind of fucked up.
Okay, so take me through that. Orlando, he got jumped. What happened after that?
So we ran into the New York dudes. Zip them. They asked us, do we need some help? We like, nah, we good. And then my little homie, we had some little homies out here selling work, kilos and shit. They like, man, we know where them niggas gonna be. They gonna be at the 662 Club. They been advertising this all week. They gonna perform this night. So we went up there, and my little homies went and got the choppers. Waited up there about an hour. We got tired and went on, started, let's go get high. We bought some champagne bottles, Cristal and Dom Perignon and shit. Stopped at the store and got that shit. When we left, we was in 3 cars, matter of fact. And the other 2 cars missed the light. So we kept on going, heading towards the hotel. When we got to Flamingo, that's when dude was hanging out. He was like he was in a parade or something. Stupid ass, hanging out the window. Hey.
Keefe D is telling interviewers the exact same story he told the police. We were eating at the Las Vegas MGM. Somebody came up to us, let us know our nephew got jumped. We went to go see him. He told us he got jumped. We were with some New York dudes. They gave us some choppers, told us he was going to be at the 662. We went to the 662, couldn't see him. When leaving, we seen Tupac hanging out the window. That's how we knew he was there. We busted you, and the murder happened. Keefe D was 100% confident that he was off the hook, so he even wrote a book about it where he went into grave details about what happened that night. He talked about seeing Suge Knight earlier that day, shaking his hand because he knew Suge Knight since he was 8 years old. He spoke about the exact same thing, getting in the car, in a Cadillac, being in the block at 662, seeing Tupac, passing the gun to Orlando Anderson. He even spoke about Zip. He said that Zip handed him the gun He also said that Foxy Brown was in the car with Zip and he told Foxy Brown to get out the car. He went into grave details, step by step, what exactly happened during the Tupac murder. At this point, people began to worry for Keefe D. During his second Vlad interview, Vlad even warned Keefe D, like, bro, you know your proffer agreement doesn't protect you from what you say outside of it, right? If you go in his interviews and speak about this Tupac thing, you could go to jail. Keefe D said he wasn't worried about it. But he will start moving smarter because after that VladTV interview, Keefe D would start going in his interviews and, saying very little. But unfortunately for Keefe D, it was too little, too late. Because Las Vegas Police Department was investigating. They already had testimony from the witnesses that was enough to incriminate Keefe D. Now they got Keefe D's own words to incriminate him. And now they were coming.
New developments in the murder investigation of Tupac Shakur. We're now learning a home raided by Las Vegas police this week is tied to a man long known to detectives investigating the drive-by shooting. Police confiscated multiple computers, an iPhone, photographs, and other items. Public records link the home to the wife of an uncle of Orlando Anderson. He was one of Shakur's known rivals and a suspect in the musician's death.
Last month, we will learn that Las Vegas PD would issue a search warrant on Keefe D's wife's Vegas home. That's 4 years after Keefe D's book, and that's 4 years after Keefe D did his first interview confessing to Tupac's murder to VladTV and others. During the raid of Keefe D's wife Las Vegas home, they will locate a firearm, among other things. Now, they would retrieve the bullets from the firearm and try to see if the bullets were linked to Tupac's murder. Because the Las Vegas Police Department had heard and gotten tips that Keefe D was selling items related to Tupac's murder, so they had high hopes that maybe he still had the murder weapon in his home, which was probably far-fetched. But that was a month ago. Well, today, we learned that things are getting a little bit worse for Keefe D in relation to Tupac's murder. According to the Sun's publication, sources from the district attorney tells the Sun that charges against Keefe D is imminent and that the district attorney office is actually bringing the case to a secret grand jury to indict Keefe D. Now, in terms of what charges are being brought against Keefe D, sources from the district attorney office tells the Sun that the district attorney is seeking first-degree murder charges against Keefe D. And yes, they're going to use everything that Keefe D said during those interviews against him. Keefe D got himself in a whole lot of trouble. Let's see how this thing play out. But before you guys leave, click on this video somewhere on my screen to find out how this bad news from YouTube made Fresh and Fit cry on stream. I'm going to see you guys in this video. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.